Yo, what's good everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today this is gonna be just like a short video just to show you how to beat droplets. I have seen quite a few people like worry about droplet, especially against branded. Droplet is not one of these cards that you auto lose to, like you lose to evenly matched, for example. Droplet is a decent card, 100%. It can be very impactful on the duel. But as a good Enneacraft player, you can play around that. There are multiple ways we can play around it. Obviously, the first and most obvious way is like the way I have been showing you in the previous videos, where I just activate Fisher. And then under Fisher, they have to play into Attel because they cannot send monster cards with the droplets. They have to send spells and traps. And if they do that, what's going to happen is most likely they're responding with droplet, right? Because otherwise my cards would be face down. So I would flip up one of my cards, let's say like Pixia, flip it up, and then they go chain droplet. They would have to send spells and traps, which means they did not send a monster, and I can respond with a monster. And that monster would be Attel. And then I would negate the droplet. Make sense? The other way, which is I don't think a lot of people actually know about this interaction. I've talked about it in the past, but it's like in one of my older videos, so only like a few people have seen that. But so I'll just like go over that as well. So if we quickly just pull up Edo Pro, because it's just actually so much easier to show you that on Edo Pro. So if we go right here, all right. So this is basically just be against myself. I'm gonna show you like how you actually beat the droplet here. So he is obviously gonna go first. Let's assume that we are going second against him and he has droplets. Okay. So what you want is you want Mar and you want a pendulum and a field spell. Okay. Field spell doesn't really matter, but like you obviously get it with the reset anyway. You need the reset and the Mar and a small monster or just any monster actually in the pen scale. So we're gonna summon Mar. In this case, I'm also gonna summon Attel, so I can like show you two things at once as well, instead of making like two separate combos. So then we can activate the resets. Okay, we have the setup here. We have resets. We have one of the pen scales set up. Can be two, it doesn't matter, as long as you have at least one, because this says you need to control, like it's gonna be able to like flip down based on the number of pen scales that you have. Okay, and then obviously the Mar to be able to negate their droplet. Sorry, negate one of their cards, not droplet. So let's say opponent goes for something. It doesn't really matter what he goes for. Fallen Virtuous, whatever. Okay, just activate something on the field, not Ash Blossom. So let's say they go Fallen White. Okay, they activate Fallen White. They're attempting to like do something here. I want to activate Mar. Okay, Mar is gonna be able to negate this, and then whatever he summons gets flipped face down. He chains Droplet because he doesn't want me to negate his Albaz. Okay, so he's gonna send a monster, so I can't respond with Attel. Okay, good. So then he negates my Mar. Then he is gonna resummon, and this is gonna resolve, obviously. So what's gonna happen now is on a new chain, because all of these Enneacraft cards are mandatory effects, they're always gonna be chain link 1. Even if it's negated, it's still gonna attempt to activate it because it's a mandatory effect, okay? So it's gonna be chain link 1. And now, because he actually used a card or effect, I have turn player priority to activate my cards first. So with this, it can get very confusing. Usually what happens is like, because it's my turn, I get to activate my mandatory effects first, and then he gets to activate his mandatory effects second. And then what's going to happen is like, if I have effects like reset or the field spell, I'm going to be able to activate them. And then if he has similar effects, he gets to activate them after. And then I get to activate like quick effects, for example, like Fallen Virtuous, Droplet, whatever. And then he gets to activate his quick effects. Does that make sense? So what's going to happen is mandatory effect. He doesn't have any mandatory effects on his field, but he can have like trigger effects that like activate like Albaz. When Albaz is summoned, he has an effect. When on summon, you can activate to special summon, right? This is a similar effect. So we're going to get priority to activate our reset or field spell here. So you want to chain reset here to your own Mar. Why? Because we want to flip this face down, and this is also going to force him into chain link 3 if he has anything else he wants to activate. So whatever he summoned could be like a Baron, could be like whatever. Let's say he wants to like negate something, okay? Maybe even this, so we don't make like a similar play where like we go Book of Eclipse on this. So they will have to respond to Chainlink in Chainlink 3 and then play into Atl. So now he played into Atl, so I can actually negate whatever he activates. He attempts to pop my Pendulum. Boom, negate that, destroy it. This is the most important part, okay? Although this is negated by droplets, this is obviously similar, not the same as Skill Drain because it was negated by Droplet. With Skill Drain, it's only negating the monsters on the field. So you can actually use things like Ecclesia can still activate because it dodges by hopping off the field. So when it's attempting to resolve its effect as summon, it's not going to be on the field, right? So it's not negated by the Skill Drain. This is a cost to tribute this effect, okay? With Droplet and Imperm and all of these like negates for until the end of the turn or permanent negates, they negate them even if they hop off the field for cost. So if this was negated by Droplet, even if he hops off, it's going to be negated. The only way you can actually delete that negates is if you either banish it until like the end phase or whatever, and then it comes back like the Toon monsters, or if you flip it face down. So we are activating this Chainlink 1, this is Chainlink 2. It has to be in this chain. Reset flips it face down, this is negated. Then on Chainlink 1, when Chainlink 1 comes, this Mar is gonna see that, oh shit, I'm face down. So nothing is applying to me anymore. Any attack boost or attack, anything that reduces your attack, which this is obviously like its attack is reduced right now, or any negates on it, it's all gonna be wiped out. So when it tries to resolve the effect, there's nothing applying to it. So it can actually still resolve the effect to flip him face down. Does that make sense? So although it's negated, you flip it face down with the reset, and you still play through the Droplet, and you resolve the effect that you actually care about, which is flip everything face down, and then they can't change their battle positions. This also works. Actually, let me just show you this first. Show you it actually does work. Yep, just like that. And this also works with Book of Eclipse, Sol and Luna, and Book of Moon. Now, this is where you have like more value off of cards like these. Because Book of Moon, for example, or Book of Eclipse, they're usually like okay cards at best, even though they can play through things like Droplet. If Droplet is like something you lose to a lot, I would recommend play Book of Eclipse, okay? If there is so much branded, they're all playing Droplet and so on, it's a Droplet meta, play Book of Eclipse, okay? But if there isn't, I would probably recommend that there are better cards to actually play around things like Droplet, and you're better off countering other cards than Droplet if Droplet is not super prevalent in the meta. For example, like Killer Toon doesn't really play Droplet, right? So why would you want to play Book of Eclipse in that case if they can actually search their hand traps and search for Ash Blossom, and then Ash Blossom can negate Book of Eclipse. So all of these cards, like the way you build the deck, it depends on how you like to play the deck. There are pros and cons to like all of these things. Book of Eclipse can be good in like scenarios like this, but also it can get ashed. And ash is almost like in everyone's hand. So if it gets ashed, you just -1 for no reason. And then your card still gets negated, right? Book of Moon, it's although can negate, can like flip down your cards and your opponent's cards. It's not like Sol and Luna where you need to control a card to be able to resolve the effect. It has less value because it's only like flipping down one card, right? You want to flip down his cards and your cards. So this is like the pros and cons of like the cards and like reasons whether to play them or not. It's up to you how you like to play the deck. And then this is basically us like playing through Droplet, and then we can use the field spell to spin back the Atl, and then like we can resummon it and so on. Now on the opponent's turn, how does that work? So let's see. So we are gonna go first, and then we are just gonna basically just quickly summon everything, so we have the setup really quickly. And then we're gonna activate the Orgia, and I'm also just gonna get the Enneacraft Rebirth. So this is where Rebirth has good value. This is why I still play the card, even though I don't really like the card too much. I do respect that it actually has a lot of value sometimes. But it obviously like plays really bad into Duel and like these other cards, and it's not really the greatest going second. But it's still a good card when it actually resolves, right? So we're gonna shuffle one back, and then we're gonna put another pen scale, and now we have the setup here with reset and the rebirth. So let's see what happens here. So opponent is gonna go second. They're going to activate Fallen of White. We're gonna chain the rebirth. flip up the Mars. This, by the way, this does not have to be branded. It can be like any other deck, obviously, because like you don't always like flip these face down. You can if you want to prevent like Ecclesia Synchro, but that's just like an example that I'm showing here. So you immediately activate this, so you can flip this up. So whatever he summons doesn't matter. He's still gonna get flipped face down here. So he's obviously gonna stop this. He's gonna go Droplet, right? We're gonna play around the Droplet. You can activate your reset because he doesn't have anything that actually triggers on summon, like Fallen of White at the moment. He only has quick effects. Quick effect, quick effect, quick effect, right? So we have something that triggers on summon, so we can actually activate the Mar, which is a mandatory effect. He has no mandatory effects. So now we can activate the reset to flip it face down. Okay? So now he actually plays into Atul. So whatever he activates is gonna play into Atul, forcing him to like actually just use only drop, because droplets is the only thing that can actually stop this here. So let's see what happens. He goes droplets on a monster, so I can't respond with Atul, and then negates it. Obviously, he will not be able to make that play if I have Fisher. So still gets flipped face down. Why? Same reason that we just explained. Because droplet negates this, and then Chainlink 2 comes. This flips this down, and then although this is negated on Chainlink 3, when Chainlink 1 comes, it's wiped out. So it still resolves the effect. Flip them face down. Got it? Same thing with Book of Eclipse. You can do the same thing. Exactly same. So this is mainly just like a short video to show you guys like that you don't actually lose the droplet. There are ways to play around droplets. If you lose the droplet a lot, I would recommend like these cards, like Book of Eclipse and so on. You can actually cut tail. Like if you want to copy my build, you can cut tail, play Book of Eclipse. That's completely fine. I just play tail because I like max engine. I like to be able to still activate the tail from my hand and summon it. And against certain matchups, like you can actually search the tail on your turn with like the plays where I set this, they activate remix. I can actually search the one-off tail, and then I can still use that, right? So that's why I still play it. But it's 100% cuttable. You can play it at 0 or 1. I would probably not recommend you play it at more, but you can if you want to. But yeah. Hope you guys just enjoyed this short video on how to play through droplets and not lose to droplets, okay? The deck does not lose to droplet, although droplet is a good card. So if it resolves, it can like mess you up sometimes. And it also shows you that rebirth does have value, obviously, when you can resolve its effect. And it's usually used with either Mar Pixia. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.